Hello and welcome to the next video. In this video I'm going to be talking about what was the teaching like in Japan. Well, since I already had experience under my belt with teaching in China, I had a good reference point in terms of what teaching ESL was like in an Asian country, and could compare and contrast it with what it was like in Japan. Now, during the interview phase of the position I ended up getting, as well as a few other interviews I had done via Skype back in the States, several people or the employers had mentioned what the teaching was like. So several of them said that it's basically conversation focused. You want them to speak as much as possible. You want to speak very slowly. You want to make sure you enunciate correctly, and that you stick to the student's level, which for the most part is a little lower than in most countries. So that was something I had to acclimate to. Even amongst more advanced students, sometimes I have to go a little slower than my normal speaking speed to make sure they can understand thoroughly what I'm saying and keep up with the conversation, obviously, and the activities. But what I ended up taking a position in what's called an eikaiwa, which is a conversation school. So in the name, it already suggests the type of learning environment where it's conversation based. So for example, the student comes in, you ask them, about their day or their weekend, or maybe you know that they have a hobby that they do, and you ask them. So for example, I had a student who's a hobbyist golfer. So I'd ask him, how was the driving range this weekend? Were you able to attain the goals that you were trying to set for yourself? Or how was the 9-hole tournament that you went with, your colleagues? Whose stroke count was the best? Just get a general conversation going, and then that eventually kind of leads into whatever the course material was. And like many places, they'll have books, that'll have, pictures and maybe an audio component, and whatever grammar-based activity and vocabulary in there. So there'll be a little bit of listening, a little bit of conversation, well, a lot of conversation, I should say, but very casual. It's not as structured as things I had seen in China, where it's, okay, we're going to be working on X grammar point. Who can tell me what this grammar, particular grammar means, or how we use it? Can you give me an example? All right. Can you give me some questions using it? Can you give me a situation where you would use it? All right, we're going to use this now for role play. Some of that did apply in Japan, but a lot of it, like I said, was just get a conversation going, keep it going, introduce targets throughout the target language throughout the discussion, and just kind of keep it flowing. And in part, this is done because Japanese people, I guess, don't have as many opportunities to practice English unless they're in travel, hospitality, international business, and whatnot. So you have to bring it down to a lower level for them. And that's just the adult side. One of the things I noticed with the eikaiwa was that we had, and this is true of most eikaiwas, so I'm not going to say it's just where I worked, is they have a range of ages. Now, one of the things I talked about as a reason why I left China was that they were bringing in more and more kids, and I wanted to teach adults. One of the things I learned about Japan is that it's a mix. Most places do not solely teach adults. Now, there are a few big names that, for the most part, it's mostly adults, or they focus maybe on just college students. But by far and large, the eikaiwas, the training centers, and all these other places, they're going to go for bulk. They want all the students. So students as young as 2 years old and as old as 100, God bless them for getting that far along in life. So I had different material for different students of different ages. So it took a little longer to kind of get the flow of the lessons because, okay, these students are this age group, so the material's this. these students are this age group, so this is the material with songs and games and other things. So for the adults, it was pretty close to what I had taught in Japan. All right, let's have a little discussion. Let's do a group activity, based on whatever it is we're learning. All right, let's listen to this audio clip, and I'm going to ask you questions about it. What did they say? Why did they say it? And so on. Whereas for the kids, the younger and younger they got, the more it's about, oh, let's play. What's this? Oh, it's an apple, right? What's that? It's a car. Oh, what color is it? It's red. So it's more, as they get younger, it becomes more babysitting and less focusing on language. So that's one of the things I noticed right away that was very different about the teaching there. It was wider range, more younger students, and overall lower levels. And one of the things I also noticed, the classroom sizes were, at least for the adults, were generally smaller, much smaller than 10 classes where I used to teach 10 or 50 students at one time. Now we're reduced to about 4 to 6 on average. So much, much smaller. Anyway, that's what the teaching was like in Japan. See you in the next video.